Okay, so welcome everybody to the September 24th, 2020 Directors Meeting. We're going to start with a quick attendance and roll call. And Vic, several people have already indicated to me that they may have to jump off early. So would it be okay with you if we simply asked for attendance and roll call to be typed into the chat today?
Yeah,
if they could
fine.
put their name and their site?
That
okay.
Works for me.
So let's go ahead and do that. Now, if you are unable to access the chat for whatever reason, please unmute yourself and chime in with your attendance right now.
John Spinks, Oak Ridge.
Thanks, John. Okay, and I see the chat is starting to come in, and that's awesome. Thank you so much. So, Vic, I'm gonna let you. I'll kind of keep monitoring the chat, of course, but I'm gonna let you take over, and you can dive right into grant contracts.
Okay. Well, everyone should have gotten their grant contracts by now. They went out as soon as they got done with the claims.
Vic, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I was trying to get on. I'm on the phone, so I can't put my name in the chat, but this is Amy Mintier from Iowa City.
Amy, I'm going to change your name on the screen to reflect that you're here. So thank you so much for that.
Perfect. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting, Vic.
That's okay. So the grant contracts have gone out, and now they're working on the amendments. And we're going to keep moving forward. I've got some good news. There's a meeting for me later today about with the Department of Ed about waivers. So I'm pretty sure that the waivers are coming. And there's also some talk about having us play a more prominent role with the USDA and providing meals for kids. And I think that's going to be huge for us down the road. And, you know, I've always been a big advocate of taking care of the needs of kids. So with the contracts, hopefully you all return your contracts signed and we can move forward. But now your first claim is coming up. You'll be able to start submitting it in October through November. So there's going to be a notice sent out about the new CASA system, and our community groups that were in Iowa Grants last year, they're now in CASA. And it's going to be a little bit difficult the first time. But after a while, I think you'll find that the CASA system is actually more user-friendly than Iowa Grants. So it's a transition, and we've been going through quite a bit. Anybody have any questions on contracts?
Hi, Vic, this is Dawn at St. Mark. I was just making myself a note for my next reimbursement to remember that it has to be in CASA, but that reminded me that I was working on getting ours set up, and now I can't remember the name of the person, but I've never heard back. I was just following up to see if I've heard back that it's been
okay. Are you talking about the claim spreadsheet and the fact that it was blank?
No, I'm talking about, I'll look at this offline and connect with you if I need to, because it probably doesn't involve everyone, but I'm talking about getting us set up in CASA.
Okay, yeah, hopefully you should be set up, and check on it and let me know, because I've got a meeting next week to make sure we've got everybody set up.
Okay. Vic, since you brought up the spreadsheet and you asked me to put it on the agenda, do you want to address that a little bit further? Because you had said that perhaps people might be a little bit worried about that.
Yeah, I've got a few emails and calls about the spreadsheet because this year what we did is we sent you out a blank one, and there's a reason for that. You know how long it took for you to get your contracts? Well, sending out that spreadsheet, they would have had to been calculating everybody's carryover. And, that's right in your contract, but our folks don't really know where you want to put that extra money. And that would have caused some more delays. So I said, well, we're just going to send them out a blank spreadsheet and you guys can decide where you want to put that extra carryover into what categories. And that'll be your budget. And I don't need to approve that until you put in your claim. Go through and make sure that your percentages are okay. Don't put in 2% for professional development. Don't put in 20% for admin, things like that. And you should be fine. But I'm trying to give you guys as much latitude as I can to handle things at the local level because no one knows more than you what your needs are.
Okay.
Vic, it's Lynn.
Yep.
I'm wondering about the percentages. Do the required percentages need to be of the total amount, including the carryover?
Yes. So let's say, for example, your grant was $100,000 and you got a $10,000 carryover. So you're going to put those into the categories and then recalculate that percentage because of the fact that, there is no limit to personnel. So if you put it all in personnel, you don't have to worry about it. But if you put a little more money into one of those restricted categories like admin, that might be an issue. But your admin will go up because of the total amount. So if you're using a full 8% and you got an extra 10,000, then you've got some extra money in the admin that you can do.
And I was thinking about PD where we're required to spend a certain amount.
Yeah, 5%.
So 5% of the total, including the carryover.
Yes. And
Okay.
that's in the two budget documents that we have now, the one that I did that talks about line item adjustments, and then the one that Deb did that's more for your business folks.
Vic, when do you expect the approval of those spreadsheets that we sent into you?
Oh, that's a good question. You actually do not have to send me your new spreadsheet because I'm going to look at it in CASA when you submit your claim. And if there's an issue, then I can contact you then. And that's just going to make a little less work for everyone. So I apologize for not getting that information out earlier, but yeah, I've been juggling quite a few things. We did get our grant in, and that was a lot of extra work and stuff. But yeah, so.
Did Aiden need it? Because I emailed it. I thought I had
No.
to email it to you and Vic back.
No, that's why we sent out the blank ones because he's not gonna deal with that. He's
Okay.
actually leaving and he's gonna be joining food and nutrition in the future. So we're just trying to expedite everything. I hate to lose him because he was, a great finance guy. But I look at it from this way. Now I have a spy in food and nutrition. So, okay, any other questions?
Okay. Vic, you had also said that you wanted to address site visits for this school year with everybody.
Well, yes. I'm not in a big hurry to do site visits. Although there are a few that I might contact you individually and say, yeah, we want to get in and look at your site as soon as possible. But most of you, there haven't been any issues. Sometimes if I'm looking at your claims, that might be a reason that I want to follow up with a site visit. But our regular schedule is going to be pushed back a little bit because of the pandemic. So, you know, we're probably not going to start up in full gear until next year for most of you. Well, that gives you a little bit of breathing time.
Yeah. However, we did talk about the fact that if you need an informal site visit done virtually, and if the Iowa After School Alliance can be helpful in that regards, I am perfectly willing to visit with you through Zoom or whatever platform you determine is the best platform for that. And it could be something as, you know, simple as a phone call as well, but just let us know if we can be of assistance to you in any way. So.
Good point. And you know, here's another thing is, I've been saying that this pandemic is for the at-risk kids. Normally they have a summer slide. This is going to be a summer tsunami for them. We're going to see big drops in their academic progress. And so with that in mind, we are working on providing literacy coaching for programs. So if that's something that you need, let us know. We haven't worked out the details, but we'll keep you informed on how that goes.
Absolutely. Okay, Vic, I know that you touched on financial claims a little bit already. Is there anything else that you need to add to that?
Well, you still have to enter your attendance, although because of the pandemic, you know, you're not going to be getting a nice email from me because we know that attendance is going to be down. So you're going to enter the claim spreadsheet and the general ledger into the CASA system, and then I'll review it. Now, for those of you community groups in there, one of the things with CASA is I have less control than with Iowa grants, and those windows are pretty well defined. If you don't make the deadline when the window closes, and I think it's November 15th on the spreadsheet, so you need to get all that stuff in. And if you try to say, oh, I won't worry about it, I'll get it on the 16th, you will find that the window is closed. You can't get in there. I cannot open it up for you. And you'll just have to wait until the next claim window to submit a reimbursement. But you can always, if something happens, we're not going to not pay you. It's just that we might have to pay you for 2 claim periods in another window when you're able to submit. So just keep that in mind and make sure you mark it on your calendar to get those claims in on time. Other than that, it's a pretty smooth system.
Thank you. All right, so local evaluation updates. So Vic, if you don't mind, I'll kind of take item A here to start.
Okay.
I was contacted by one of your very own who was interested in learning what other people across the state have in their contracts or language regarding how those are issued for local evaluation. So what we thought we would do is perhaps include it in the agenda for today so that maybe we could have a little bit of discussion. And then if you guys want to make some connections for sharing or, you know, sharing documentation with myself regarding what your contract looks like, the Evaluation and Sustainability Program Committee is also looking to perhaps come up with some type of a template. So does anybody have any immediate feedback about the types of language that perhaps you include in your local evaluator contract? And or does anybody have any problems or concerns with perhaps sending me that generic contract language that we can start building up that repository, for lack of a better word? You guys are a talkative group today.
You know, there are 2 documents to guide program directors in the evaluations section of the department webpage. And one of them speaks about some specifics you should have in your contract regarding performance to make sure your evaluator is going to make their deadlines. And also to make sure that you get a complete evaluation that's not missing pieces and things like that. So performance is pretty important.
Okay.
So I'll say, so I am needing a new local evaluator here in Burlington. And so I've been asking numerous individuals and entities that, you know, AEA, the community college, the local university, and so far have no responses, no one interested. And so that's why I was kind of looking at, you know, what are other people, who are other people using, and do you have, how did you go, you know, do you have a language that you, or job description? And so I don't want to take everybody's time, but if you, I would be more than happy to accept any thing that maybe you use when I'm trying to find a new one for this fiscal year. Thanks.
Yeah. And again, I think we see value in that across the whole state. So if you have something that you are going to connect with Kathy regarding, if you would also just please CC me, and I'll be sure to get that information to the appropriate committee so that, again, we can put together a template of sorts that might be beneficial for everybody there. And you can do that through email.
Oh.
Yes.
Hey, Chris, this is John. So, you know, we changed, our first local evaluator opted out with us, and we were very fortunate to have a contact, and I think she's on this Zoom meeting with us. But one of the things that we tried to do, and that might be helpful for Cassie, is even if you don't have an evaluator in place yet, one of the things that we did, we created a template, or Margaret did, to start collecting data internally, which started with us, information that we're gathering, and then the external piece. And so that allowed us to start putting information together and doing some semi meetings to make sure that we're trying to meet the deadlines on that. And so that's one of the things that's really been helpful. And we've been scheduling periodic meetings. When COVID hit, everything just kind of shut down, and then we just recently started back up to get that done. That doesn't help you as far as identifying an evaluator, but there are some things that may be beneficial to you as an organization to start taking a look at what information you have internally that's available to you that you can start gathering that would be related to the local evaluation, which has been helpful for us.
Yeah, thanks, John. If you're willing to share that template that you guys developed, that could be a really nice tool for some people. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good idea.
I also want to mention that I did drop into the chat the link to the local evaluation guidelines on the department's website. So feel free to access that.
Crystal,
Vic,
didn't the
Yes.
Alliance have a list of local evaluators?
Yes, so that's the next thing I'm going to drop into the chat as soon as I grab this link here real quick. Okay, so this is also kind of a twofer here because we also yesterday had our local evaluator training. And for those of you who attended, thank you for doing so. And if your local evaluator attended, that's fantastic. I did send the recordings and links to the documents that were referenced, including the PowerPoint, out to the distribution list that I have for current local evaluators. And then I just dropped another link into the chat box so that if you were not able to participate in that call, you can go to the 21cclc.com website. It's on the grant info page and it's towards the bottom. You'll be able to see it's distinguished from other training webinars by the date of September 23rd. And you'll find the meeting materials there and then 2 recordings. So one is the presentation itself, and then the second recording is the question and answer session. So feel free to grab that, share the link with your evaluator if they were not able to attend. And then also at the bottom of that page, and this is from 2019, so I already know that there's a couple of adjustments that need to be made to this, but there is a list of local evaluators who are open to taking on additional sites or additional work. So feel free to use that. And then also if you notice incorrect information or information that has discrepancies or something like that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and we'll get that corrected on the website.
While we're talking about evaluation, I'm gonna let you guys know that I had to do the training because ERMS did not renew their grant and they are no longer working outside of Texas, and they terminated Ron and Rusty. And so I am working with Department of Administrative Services to put out a new RFP for a state evaluation. So hopefully I should get someone sometime in November. But meanwhile, everything goes to me, and unfortunately you will not get those nice reminders that Ron used to send out.
Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions about local evaluation? All right, so I think we're up to the reminders, Vic.
Okay, hey, we've got started getting in those community partner lists, but for some strange reason, we are getting the partner list in without the professional development list. So please send us both of those. Now, here's an important point of clarification. Deb in her financial guidance had said about putting the professional development list into CASA. I'm going to modify that. If you send the list in by September 30th, you do not have to upload it every quarter into CASA.
Okay.
So can you clarify, because Caitlin tried to take care of this before she was gone on leave, and this was a point of confusion for me because then there was the September 30th date, but I thought it was due quarterly based on previous conversations. So whatever is due by September 30th, is it our anticipation for the whole year? Then, because before it would have just been for the quarter.
Well, we want to know what you did last year for that professional development. And that way we can kind of see where there are needs and gaps in the planning.
So what I'm sending to you is what was done for professional development for the 1920 school year.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Caitlin,
And
you
then Nikki had asked the question about should that go to Vic and Crystal, and the answer is yes. So send it to Vic, CC me, because of course at the Alliance we are compiling that.
Yep.
Okay. And then Vic, the enrollment form reminder.
Yep. If you're a program that charges fees, make sure that you get me that enrollment form. I sent out a link. There's a Google form. And when the minute you put something in that Google form, I get an email notification on there. And that's part of my responsibility as a state to look at every enrollment form for equity. And it's part of in our monitoring plan. So I've always said, for the last few years now, that charging fees is not a best practice. And I'm going to warn you again that I think it's going to go away when the new guidance is revised. So, you know, right now it is allowable, but it's not, you know, the best thing for kids that are in poverty and families in poverty that are struggling. So this year in the RFA, we are also advising reviewers to deduct points if you're charging fees. So, you know, been warning everyone for years, and you know, that's just one of the changes. So you know, you may want to be in on that session to find out some of the other changes in the RFA.
Is anybody having trouble? Is Vic coming in and out, or is it just my connection?
Hopefully it's not everybody.
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me okay?
I can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't seem to be having any trouble on our end here, Vic. I think it might be Kathy, so apologies for that.
Yep. Cassie, you might have to go and review the recording afterward. Okay, so let's go into the RFA. It's been posted on the website, and we're going to have 4 sessions. This time they're all going to be virtual, so no matter where you are in the state, you can attend one of them or more of them, as many as you need to. Plus, you can still send me email questions. Now, on the department website, we've tried to consolidate this into, you know, a couple of forms. There's one big instruction, and then the actual application has been reduced down to 42 pages, which is, I think, a new record for us. So, yeah, that always makes me happy when we can reduce the bureaucracy a little bit. Now, we did leave up a lot of the other forms only because it's easy if you need just one form to find it on there, and we're going to be working on the website in the future, but right now it's all on there. Hopefully you won't get confused, but the 2 main forms you need. In fact, can I share my screen?
Give me 1 second, Vic. I just want to grab a link real quick to drop into the chat, and
Okay.
then I'll give you that option.
Yeah, I'll just take you guys over to the department website real quick.
Oh, do you want me to just pull it up? Because I have it up on my screen as a secondary.
Yeah, you can do that, and I'll just talk you through it.
Okay.
That way my arthritic fingers don't give me
All
grief.
right. Can everybody see the FY21 request for application page? Thank you.
So you can see there's the 2 main links. You've got the instructions, and you've got the application, and then there's additional information. You know, we've got the financial guidance for an application. We've got the funding estimator. Got the student needs assessment, and then underneath that there are the documents that we've had on there for a while. We've got the spreadsheets that are separate because sometimes people need just one of those spreadsheets. We've also got on there the guidance to help you complete the minority impact and the consultation, and then we've left a lot of those appendixes on there. And, you know, for now, in case you need it, that might actually be faster than going through, because that big instruction guide, that's what, over 100 pages, isn't it?
It is, yes. But again, just to reiterate, all of the appendices are found in the instruction packet, and in the application packet, those are all the documents that you will need to complete. So we wanted to be able to provide some of that insight and guidance so that you can reference if you need to look up a definition or something of that nature. But then the application is everything that you will actually physically and electronically submit.
So we've got more up here than you actually need. You basically only need those 2 links. But just in case you need to refer to something on there, it's still here on the website. All right, thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Okay, let me go back to the agenda. Okay. And then, Vic, I know you're going to talk about the webinars here, or you already kind of alluded to it, of course, but just so people know, we will record those, of course, and we'll make those available so that if you are unable or if you're having technical difficulties, you should be able to come back and reference those then too as well.
Yep, I don't know if we need to record all of them because it's going to be the same information over and over. So
yeah, my thing was, Vic, is we'll record them just in case, but we may not post all of them.
yeah, I think we only need to have one posted. So I think that now one thing to be aware of, the amount of money is down from last year. So that means there's going to be fewer awards made. So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Does anybody have any questions about the RFA? Okay. All right. So Vic, I think we're here for APR, and actually I'm just going to move this down so it's all on the same screen and a little easier to see.
Okay, so we're in the second window now, and summer data can be put in right now until October 26th, and then the next day we're going to enter in fall. And this brings up a question. Some of you didn't have a big summer program. You may have had less than 30 days, and if that's the case, there's a mechanism that's allowable, and you can take those kids that you couldn't count in the summer because the system won't let you. If you tell us, say you've only had 25 days instead of 30, you can take those kids and count them in the next window. You can count them in the fall. And that way they get captured. It's not how I would have done it. I would have just, no matter if you did 15 days, I would have allowed it in the system. But, you know, feds have their own set of rules, but at least we have this backup way that we can count those kids in the next window. So maybe they did 25 days in the summer, and then they did another 20 days in the fall. So you would then count them as over 30 days when you put them in the fall window. And I have a sheet if you're confused by it, but you need to do it. I have a guide sheet on that, and I'm happy to send that to you.
Yeah. Vic, if you want to send that to me electronically, I can post that with the recording and the agenda onto the website.
Well, I need to find it first.
Well, you have some time. It takes a little bit of time to download and upload and all of those fun things. So,
yeah,
okay.
I have it. I just need to find out the folder that it's in.
So I think I said this last month, but I'll also share this again. Again, as a former grantee, I distinctly remember the APR and some of the challenges that come with entering data into it. So please know that if I can be helpful to you in any way, I'm absolutely willing to hop on the phone or a Zoom call or team call or something like that. So we can go ahead and take a look at that. So.
Absolutely, thanks. And you know, another thing that we've done in the past is we made it available that you could come down to the DE and we would work with you one-on-one to help you get your data in. And I know they've redone the APR, so it all looks different. Now, with the COVID, you can't come in to the DE, it's locked down right now. But we can do a Zoom and I can log into the APR while we're on the Zoom, and I should be able to do everything that we would have done face-to-face.
Right. Vic, we do have a question from Christine. She wants to know if if the windows on the APR are due by a certain time. So for example, 5 p.m. on October 26th. I think it's midnight, isn't it?
Well, that depends. Midnight is Eastern time.
Yes, very true.
So, yeah,
So,
it's always a good
Christine,
idea to try
hopefully
to
that
get it in
helps.
a day before. And also on spring, they have it on the 15th, but I think I have to finalize the data on the 15th as well. So that means I'll be
Okay.
waiting till the end of the day and before I finalize.
Okay, great. Anybody have any questions about APR?
Oh, let me also say this. Now, we shared this with the evaluators. In the APR, I've checked all the boxes. So if you have assessment data, you can put it in. If you don't have state assessment data, but you have a local assessment, you can use that. That's fine. If you don't have that, how can you report on growth? Well, maybe students got a grade. They passed from 3rd grade to 4th grade. You know, that's a measure of growth. You may not be able to enter all the proficiency in the numbers in the APR, but we should be able to report improvement. And it is improvement if they went to the next grade level. Finally, we will accept teacher-reported information about a student's improvement. So we're trying to do everything possible so that you can put in some data, because this is absolutely critical. And they're asking this time for anecdotal data. They're going to ask you about how the pandemic affected you. So, you know, tell them, be real. And, you know, because Congress is looking at that. And right now we're at, you know, a crossroads. We are on the books to be defunded. However, I don't think that's going to happen, but there's proposals to increase our funding. So I would like to see our funding get increased and, you know, have us have more ability to provide food for kids so that, you know, they can develop and grow and do well in life. Because, you know, we're dealing with a population of at-risk kids. The kids we serve generally are food insufficient. And even if they tell you they're getting enough, they might be going home and having a bag of chips, you know, or in a soda pop rather than a nutritious meal. So I think that, you know, we've got some tremendous opportunities ahead for us. But data drives everything. So get that data in, please.
Vic, we have a question in the chat from Nikki. She says
Okay.
that she's entered the summer data, but is there a way to look at the site to be 100% sure that it's entered?
Log back in and see that it's there. It's supposed to auto-save. That's what they told me. And I'll be looking at doing reports, but I usually don't do the reports every window, simply because I don't have the time, but I, you know, do try to download a final report on everyone before I finalize the data.
Yeah, okay. And then from Beth and Virginia, they have the APR entry done, but can they add data outcomes when the window opens again?
Well, when the window opens, right now you're putting in summer only. When the fall window opens, you can't go back to summer, but you can put things into the fall. That's one of the clunky things, that they're only doing one window at a time. If I were doing it, I would just have all the windows open and you could put in all three, you know, have one big window, but that's not how the feds are doing it. So, you know, we have to adopt their practice.
Okay, great. Okay, anything else with APR? Okay, we're going to move on to the Communications Committee. Vic, do you want me to kind of give a little history on this, or?
Sure.
Okay, so as you all know, because you're all seasoned veterans at this point, you know, we have several committees that are site directed based on interest and goals and tasks and so on and so forth. So the very first thing that I would like to do is to give a shout out to Elena Zalar from Council Bluffs for taking on the role of chair for the Communications Committee. She stepped up, facilitated her first meeting last month. She did a great job. Everything was good in that regard. However, our attendance with this committee has been pretty low. Anytime your support staff, meaning Vic and the After School Alliance members and myself, outnumbers the participants, that's not necessarily a good thing. So Vic suggested that we bring it to the directors today to talk about, you know, why this committee is important, and to see if perhaps we could drum up some interest in joining this committee, or maybe even giving your designated committee member a little nudge to make sure that they do join in. And again, you know, we understand that you guys are very busy. They're every other month, you know, usually about an hour of your time. So we do try to make it as painless as possible. But Vic, I know you had a really great insight on why this communication committee is so important to the overall health of the grant. So I'm going to give you the stage now and have you kind of explain that.
Okay, well, I was thinking that there is a symbiotic relationship between communication and all the other aspects of our program. If you look at partners, a good communications plan helps you to reach out with partners. It also helps you to reach out to parents and improve your parent engagement. It helps you to communicate with students and staff on the program. It helps you to reach out to your community. And so it just touches on all aspects of the program. And, you know, I know that a lot of us have been working from home, and maybe the staffing is not what it's supposed to be right now, but you need to get some folks in on the communications committee. So we're just bringing this up to you because, you know, it's a requirement that you have representation on some of these committees. Depends on how many cohorts you're in for. One committee per cohort, with the exception of the new grantee committee. That's an extra layer, but it's, you know, more to make sure that you're getting extra help as needed. So yeah, we wanted to let you know so that this doesn't, you know, fall by the wayside. And especially right now, communication is very important. Parents are having all kinds of questions, and I'm sure students are going to have a lot of questions, and the community wanting to know what's going on with this program. And so their role is even more important now.
Dawn, can I ask a follow-up question?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we have anyone on communications right now. I think we are on support and evaluation, but I don't know all that off the top of my head. Caitlin, the guru, is not here right now, so I'm doing the best I can. But I'm curious, is it that you don't have a lot of people signed up for the communications committee? And then I'm just wondering, what is the goal of the committee? Just listening to some of the stuff that you were talking about, I feel like, you know, are people maybe getting those needs met on a different committee? And I know a few years ago at Impact Conference, we had a conversation around committees in general, just like, what's the goal of them? Are they still bringing value? You know, like, and I know you're not suggesting people be on a committee just for the sake of being on the committee, obviously, but I'm just throwing those questions out there of, is there a reason why this committee isn't well attended or have a lot of participants?
Well, I think it's a lot due to the pandemic, you know, and every year in the fall, we always have to remind you guys to update your committee members because you've got staff turnover. And unless we hear from you, we can't get the information out to the correct people. So, you know, we're asking you to update it, update your lists, and not everybody is required to be in all the committees. So, except Des Moines, they're in all the committees. So,
Yeah.
um,
I would also say, yes, I do think the Communications Committee has the fewest committee members at this point. And I would also say that the committee members that are currently on, and I'm speaking very general here, they do tend to, in my opinion, they're probably people who are maybe doing some of the social media for a site or, you know, something of that nature, which makes perfect sense. But I do wonder sometimes if they're maybe a little less connected to the program as opposed to some of the site directors and program managers and whatever other titles there are. And maybe that makes a difference too. And again, I'm speaking in very, very general terms here. So, I did drop into the chat the link with the description of the Communications Committee and the goal of that committee. So maybe hop on and take a look and see if it's something that might be interesting to one or more of your staff. And again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be happy to kind of guide that conversation for you individually as well.
and another thing to keep in mind is all these committees, the goal here is to assist you on things that are required by statute in the grant. If you look at the site visit checklist, you'll find that these are things that we're talking about all the time in the committee. And the goal is to help you do well and to provide support and improvement and build capacity in all these areas. So, you know, it's a concern when, you know, there's really low participation. And we have lists, you know, and we check them more than once, sometimes twice, and we find out who's naughty and nice. But, you know, our goal is to be able to help you to have the best quality program because that's going to help serve our kids.
Absolutely. So thank you for your consideration, everybody. Dawn, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please go ahead.
No, the only thing is I did go right to that page right away that you put in the chat, and I see St. Mark is still listed there as Beth. I'm trying to find an email because I thought we did remove Beth from that committee.
And again, that's a possibility. So if you visit the website and you look at any of the committees and you see discrepancies, again, please email me and we'll make the adjustments to the website.
Okay.
So thank you. All right, Vic, I think we're ready to talk about literacy coaching. And if you don't mind, I'll kind of take the ball on this one.
Sure, I think I already talked about it a little bit.
Sure, I'll just provide just a little bit more information, and then again, if people have questions, we can move forward with that. So literacy coaching this year is going to be made available virtually. I am working with a team that's going to be putting together some information about supporting literacy, particularly during this kind of virtual time, and how to modify and adjust for in-person, virtual, and hybrid. So look for more information soon from us regarding this. If your literacy scores were low, we may ask you to plan to participate in these professional developments. We actually did have an original goal of targeting some of our community partnership-based sites this year, because again, if you're a school district site, you may have a few more literacy resources available to you as compared to a community-based partnership. But again, that's a very general term that I'm using there too. So we'll be sharing more information out as that develops. So look for more information, particularly to come at our next directors meeting. And again, if people have questions, you can certainly reach out or drop a message into the chat. And now I think we're ready for some reminders from the Iowa After School Alliance. So I'll just kind of keep on going here. So as we've mentioned a few times already this morning, we absolutely have our Impact After School Conference next week. Virtual platform, very first time that we've ever done this. And full disclosure, we've come up against a few road bumps and a few obstacles in the way. Nothing that hasn't been able to be handled, but I just want to take a moment and thank everybody for your patience with us as we try to kind of navigate these new virtual waters. We're really hoping the conference goes well. I think that there's a really nice schedule offering that comes up from the available sessions and professional development. So looking forward to that. If you have not done so already, please plan to register for that conference. And I would say this general reminder as well is it's actually a two-part process. So you'll need to create your event profile, which will allow you to build out your conference schedule, communicate with other attendees. There's also some kind of fun things that come with that too. This also allows you to visit the virtual lounge where you'll see the award winners and things of that nature. But please don't forget to get that second step, which is the payment step. So we have a few things, a few people who have created profiles but who have not necessarily paid yet. There was an email that went out on yesterday, the 23rd, to remind people to do so. If you're not sure if you've paid, feel free to send me an individual email and I'll be happy to double check the registration list. But you should, when you did pay, you should have received a receipt from the platform. So you may be able to double check that as well. And Brittany was kind enough to drop the link for the Impact Conference into the chat. So if you want to go to that website and register, that would be great. And just a friendly reminder that that is actually a requirement for your grant. So any questions about Impact?
I have a question. Now, in the past, we used to have a registration for DHS education credits. How is that being handled virtually?
Yes, we do. Brittany, do you want to unmute and jump in with information?
Yes, so that's a great question, Vic. We will have DHS credit available for the Impact After School Conference. Our virtual platform is able to track attendance for all of the different sessions. So we'll be doing that, and then we'll be sending out a survey after the conference is over to get a sense of if you need DHS credit, and then we'll be able to cross-reference that with your attendance on the back end. So give us some time. It will take us a little bit to, do all of that cross-checking and get those surveys out and everything, but we will be able to do DHS credit for this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brittany.
Hey, Crystal, this is John with Oak Ridge. And so I was going to reach out to Vic since we're doing this directors meeting. We normally have all of our staff attend this, but because we are doing programming throughout the day, we're going to be limited with the number of people that can log on because we're actually providing programming in 3 sites. We brought on some additional part-time people to do that. So I just want to make sure that we don't get dinged by not having our entire staff be a part of this, but it is very key that we continue to do what we're doing and providing that in-person support to the students and the teachers on the screen. So
now we're not going to ding you, John, and we're even going to have recordings available so you maybe can have later on when time allows, you can have a staff meeting and go over session by session, and then, you know, have people get the information that way.
All right, thanks, Vic.
So
And how much does it cost?
yeah, so the conference is one fee this year. It's $75. It gets you access to the pre-conference workshop on Wednesday afternoon, and then both full days of the conference on Thursday and Friday. And again, John, we know sites like Oak Ridge are providing daytime programming right now, but we did purposely schedule the conference to run from, generally speaking, the hours of 9 to 2:30, thinking that perhaps people would have more availability for additional staff so that you could continue to run your out-of-school time programs. However, that's not the case for everyone, and it's also not the case for any site that maybe is using school day teachers for their staff for their out-of-school time programs. So please note that with your paid registration fee, you are able to access all of the recordings then too. So it's a pretty good deal for $75 actually. And as Vic pointed out last time, the only thing it doesn't get you is lunch. Lunch is on your own. Okay. Any other questions about impact? All right, so next we want to talk about the lights on after school. And again, Brittany, I'm going to say, please feel free to unmute and add anything that you would like to this item. The Lights On event is a nationally celebrated event recognizing the importance of out-of-school time programs across the whole country. And the event this year is scheduled for, I think it's October 22nd, Brittany, is that right? The actual event itself?
Yes.
Yes. What the Iowa After School Alliance has chosen to do this year is that we are actually going to celebrate the entire week of October 19th through the 22nd as Lights On Week. So look for more information to be coming soon. There will also be some information in the newsletter regarding this. But we have different events or opportunities every single day that week. We'll be exploring some discussion opportunities. We'll have some opportunities for social media. And then I'm going to let Brittany talk a little bit about the town hall event that we have scheduled for the final day.
Yeah, thanks, Crystal. So we're planning on having a statewide after-school roundtable on the final day of Lights On After School Week, so October 22nd. This will be an opportunity for us to invite statewide leaders, legislators, policymakers, business leaders, programs, youth, families, for a conversation about how after school really serves as a solution for a lot of individual community issues, ranging from anything from COVID-19 to the aftermath of the derecho, to childcare, to workforce readiness, and everything in between. So we're hoping to have this conversation on October 22nd, and we'll be sending out an invitation for this roundtable very soon. So we'd encourage you to sign up to attend. Of course, this will be done virtually, and our hope is to really get some momentum from this conversation to really spread the word about how important after school is for the state of Iowa, and get some policymakers involved in that momentum as well.
Great. Something else that I would mention is we'll also have an opportunity for some professional development that week. Again, more information to come. We're going to be doing some work as it pertains to some STEM support in your programs. And then we'll also be inviting the Launchpad Children's Museum out of Sioux City to be able to provide a virtual STEM activity that you can share with your youth during the out of school hours that day. So again, lots of good, fun, exciting stuff happening on that Lights On After School event, and more information to come. A couple of general reminders here from the Alliance. Don't forget to check out our newsletter. If you are not receiving the newsletter, shoot me an email and I'll gladly add you to that distribution list. There's lots of really good information in this newsletter about events like Lights On, about Impact, but then also we try to make funding opportunities and other grants that may be available to your program, a part of that, as well as providing some insight, best practices, guidance of things of that nature. And then last but not least, oh, thank you, Brittany. She dropped a link in the chat to subscribe to the newsletter yourself. So that kind of eliminates the middleman there, and that's fine. The Mizzen app. So if you remember, we did a best practice webinar on this, gosh, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. Mizzen is an app that is supported by Mott, and they have put together this wonderful thing that you can download to your phone or tablet that allows you to take a look at high quality youth engagement activities. I actually have it on my phone as well. So you can search for activities based on content, on age, duration, things of that nature. And again, Brittany has dropped the link about learning more about the Mizzen app there. We just want to remind people because it can be a really nice tool to implement with the youth that you're working with. And Brittany was kind enough to do that best practice webinar for us a few months ago. So if you visit our website, you'll find a recording of that. And you can spend a little bit of time having kind of that live demo, so to speak, and learn more about that too. Brittany, is there anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just put in the chat that I'll also be doing a similar presentation next week at Impact over the Mizzen app. So if you want to do that live demonstration with me again and be able to ask questions, I'd encourage you to attend that session at Impact.
Absolutely. Very well worth the time. So, all right. Vic, you mentioned the waiver a bit ago. Is there anything else that you need to address with that?
Nope. I'll get an update later today. The Iowa Department of Education is aware of this waiver, and I've been giving them the latest that I get from the department, and then it's something that has to get approved a little higher up than me, but I think it's good for kids and programs, so I'm not worried that on this one. So
Okay.
but it's all good news, so that's encouraging.
Yes, it is. Okay. So while we've been doing this, I've seen that I had several emails pop up with adjustments and changes to the website, and that's great. But if you get a moment in the next few days, please check that out, and I'll be happy to make those edits. We'll try to do all the edits at the same time. So give us a few days to get those done, but we'll get it all adjusted. So thank you for that, everybody. Does anybody else have anything that we need to talk through today?
Any other questions, issues?
Christine had to jump off, but she did drop a question into the chat box regarding the literacy coaching. Is it to be done as a group or is it one-on-one coaching virtually? I think what we're actually thinking about for literacy coaching this year is that we'll provide some fairly basic group professional development offerings. And then for those sites who maybe have some of those lower literacy scores, we'll be sure to adjust for some individual support as well. So hopefully that answers that question, even though Christine had to jump off the call. All right, any other questions today? And or Vic, is there anything else that you want to share?
Well, it's going to be it's been a challenging year, and we continue to have some challenges, but I think we're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel here. So, that's good. I feel a lot better now knowing that you guys have gotten your contracts and we've got the RFA out. So, That's encouraging.
Yeah.
And I hope all of you guys are keeping safe and keeping the kids safe. And, you know, we're going to do everything we can to help out with getting those kids' literacy scores back up.
Absolutely. All right. Well, with that being said, I'm going to stop the recording and wish everybody a happy Thursday. So thank you, everybody.